is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.
Welcome to Today in Horrible History, your daily moment of historical misfortune. For February 21st, 2022, we head back to February 21st, 1916. On that date, the Battle of Verdun began, the longest pointless battle of the broadly pointless First World War. A complex series of military treaties between competing European powers led to the start of World War I in 1914, with the proximal cause being the assassination of the Austro-Hungarian Empire's Archduke Franz Ferdinand by Serbian nationalists in Sarajevo. And that's the simplified version. Even participants in the war struggled during it to explain why they were fighting. World War I was a 4-year-long hellscape of death and suffering, given that modern weapons such as machine guns, airplanes, and poison gas shells were for the first time implemented in mass warfare. The signature aspect of the war was trench warfare, in which hundreds of thousands of men would dig muddy, stinking, wet, disease and rat-filled trenches parallel to each other, lobbing artillery shells constantly and occasionally going over the top, making murderous suicide charges at opposing trenches. European generals still attempted to apply 19th century battle approaches based in formations of men who did not at that time have to face automatic weapon fire, tanks, and poison gas. They were slow to learn that trench warfare simply didn't go anywhere, and millions paid for that with their lives. The Battle of Verdun started on February 21st, 1916, with an attempt by German forces to take a French fort. 9 months, 3 weeks, and 6 days later, they retreated, but not before Germany lost 160,000 dead with another 216,000 wounded. Opposing France suffered 143,000 dead and up to another 210,000 wounded. That's more than 300,000 deaths, or more than 1,000 deaths per day for most of a year. Verdun remains one of the most deadly battles in world history. It would be nice to say that Europe and the world learned something from that war and never engaged in such a thing again. But just 21 years later, after the First World War ended, an Austrian veteran of the war did his level best to kick things off again, with a generation's worth of scientific progress in even more lethal weapons. On that bright note, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Today in Horrible History. Remember that after a brief visit, the rest of your day can only seem better in comparison.
Life is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.